And action. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Action Podcast. We are on episode 56 today, and we got a few movies on the slate. Our number one film we're going to talk about is The Big George Foreman, obviously based off of a true story. Our second film is a movie called Sisu, which is, I think it's technically a foreign film, but it's kind of a wide release foreign film. That is we'll get into it, but it's very Quentin Tarantino-esque. Our third film is Peter, Pan and Wendy, which is on Disney Plus. And then our fourth film is Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, based off of the book back in the day.
Right.
So that, Pete, let's get into Big George Foreman. I want to hear your thoughts on that one.
Yeah, it definitely a light week. Let's get that right. There's not a lot of blockbusters out, but there are very, very interesting movies that have been introduced to us this week. So this first one, Big George Foreman, I got to be honest, I'm not all the way through this movie yet. However, I'm massively disappointed, and I know we don't like to discount people's work and all of that. However, if you look at what George Foreman as an individual and what he was able to accomplish in his life and the absolute positivity and actual excellence that this guy achieved against all odds. I felt that this movie was just a linear tale that just didn't get into with any sort of urgency what was really important about what we know as George Foreman today. Like, I don't know. I feel like George Tillman is a great director. He did Notorious. He did Men of Honor. Chris Davis is really amazing in this film. I just felt like it was a disservice to George Foreman, to be honest, because I don't know. There's certain aspects of his life that you could have made a movie around that just brought you into an understanding of his real significance in this world. And I don't think that this movie touched on that even kind of a little bit. He's
how far are you into it?
I'm about 3/4 of the way through. This is a
Oh, so
significant.
you're 75%.
Yeah, this is a significant figure in our lifetime. And if you can listen to his messages in real life and the lessons that he tries to sort of talk about and inspire people to do, especially young people, I feel like that's more the movie than a linear version of his life.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that this, I mean, it was fine. It's a great linear understanding of somebody's life. But George Foreman as an icon, which is what he is, and an important figure, I felt like you could have gone a million different other ways and really talked about the importance of George Foreman as an entity, because he's a special guy and has a lot of really, really amazing messages to put out there.
Yeah.
And I thought that this movie just didn't touch on what was the most powerful about him as a human being.
Interesting.
Just my thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of like you. I was not able to finish it. So it's kind of hard for me to give a good actual thorough review. I saw it too late and I fell asleep. But I'm looking forward to still looking at it and try and look at it in a different lens. What I was seeing so far, I was enjoying it. I mean, I always love a good boxing movie, but I would not be able to come to that conclusion that you came based off what I remember. So it's like, we'll see.
It's just unfortunate. This is a special guy, and outside of his boxing accomplishments, this guy has touched a million people, which is more than anybody can do in 3 lifetimes. And what he's contributed to this world, I this movie was a disservice. I'm sorry. No
Yeah, I mean,
offense.
like I said, I'm curious to look at it through I mean, a different lens, and even look at it in a writer's lens, and seeing how you could.
The writing's not bad. If you wanted to write a start to end of somebody's life, yeah, that's how you do it. But George Foreman, it's like, there's certain icons. You wouldn't
I
write.
get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. Let's
Yeah.
move. Let's move on. Let's move on. You're repeating yourself, so
Okay, good.
I get your point.
Okay,
Uh,
good.
all right. Our next film is Sisu, and yeah, to me, I like to sometimes just keep it very simple. And Sisu to me is a film. Again, if you like Quentin Tarantino type of action and violence, combined with good kind of storytelling and filmmaking, this is, Quentin Tarantino meets, a guy that finds gold and has to defend the Nazis in order for him to keep that. And again, it's pretty simple, but at the same time,
Totally.
I think it works a lot. The whole time I was pretty much engaged, and it was short, which I liked. Um, but it was
That's
it was
always a plus.
yeah, but it was brutal in a good way, and
Right.
there's definitely a lot of out loud moments when I was watching it, and
Oh,
yeah, like there's just definitely a few
yeah.
things that just like you're definitely engaged with it. And again, I like these movies in contrast to a lot of other films, because we need these type of films that are just for the sheer entertainment. I don't always want to be, go into all the deep drama. Sometimes I just want to sit back, watch a movie, and enjoy it, and
100%.
and actually be thoroughly entertained, versus like I'm looking at my phone or something like that, right? And this one,
Right.
it was pretty much I was locked in the whole time. So I really really enjoy that film. So if you like that kind of comp, again, you gotta like the violence, you gotta like a little over the top, but it's good. It's good versus evil in terms of going against the Nazis. And if you like to see some Nazis blown up, this is your movie.
Right. Yeah, this was you called me like literally directly after I had jumped on or jumped out of the theater and seeing this movie, and I said that if somebody approached Quentin Tarantino and said, "We would like you to write a graphic novel that could potentially be a series later on, and it has to be set in World War II in Finland, post World War II, like the Nazis are done, everyone knows it, but this is the world that we live in, and you need to write a film for it." This would be the movie that he would have written, because it's broken up into chapters, and the opening sequence is there's the main character has zero dialogue. I don't think he says one word. He might do a couple of grunts here and there, but I don't think that he actually utters,
You might be
uh,
right.
uh, unless I forgot a line or two that he did, but he
I definitely
literally
couldn't
doesn't.
quote it.
Yeah, he literally doesn't talk through this entire film, and yet, just based um on his facial reactions, on the environment that he's in, and what it is that he's doing, and the way this film is shot is beautiful. I mean, this is a
Yeah.
gorgeous film. Um, but it almost reminded me of, like, this was what Rambo First Blood was supposed to be, right? Where they just completely strip Rambo of all dialogue
Pete,
and actually have him go through an experience that we have to,
do you want
as an audience,
craziness right
go
now?
through.
Do you want
Yeah, go ahead.
craziness?
Go ahead. Let me hear it.
Director Jamari Hollander cites First
Jamar
Blood
Helander.
as a big influence.
What?
Unlike
What I'm talking
Sisu,
about.
unlike Sisu's main character, Tommy Corpy, John Rambo doesn't directly kill anybody. But obviously, this guy kills everybody directly.
But it's a, not to toot my own horn, but I'm absolutely right in my analysis
No,
so
it is.
far.
No, it
But
is. It's over. It's like Rambo 2.
yeah, but even the Nazis in this film, like, they all adhere to a legend, right? Like, there's a legend of this guy, this Sisu guy, that you can't define in Finnish um, language, right? It's like there's no definition to this word Sisu, really.
Yeah.
And so, but it's legendary. And the people, like these girls that are being trapped and being transported to, I would imagine, some sort of a camp or something like that. They all know the legend of this character. And when they come face to face with them, it just takes this movie to an. And the more I think about this movie, the more I think of its brilliance.
Yeah.
And I'm going to see it again because this movie didn't ask a lot of the audience initially, but when you walk away from it, it really does ask a lot and make you really think about it.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
for sure.
there's so much that happened without a lot of dialogue. And yes, there's gruesome moments, and it's post war, and there's blood and all that stuff. But what a well done film!
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely the number one film of the week. 100%.
Yeah. And obviously the best foreign film, not that we were crushing that market,
Is
but
it a foreign film though? There was
yeah.
no subtitles. There was no nothing. It was in English when I saw it.
Oh, yeah, I guess it was English.
I mean, the Germans spoke English, so I can't really be a and the main character didn't talk. So I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know
Well,
if it was necessarily a foreign film.
everybody in it's Finnish though.
Hmm.
I think it's Finnish made in English, like because of, I mean, it's got a bigger audience because it's in English.
Listen, at this point, outside of Air and the Covenant, Sisu is number three, and you could make an argument that it could be a number two this year so far. Like if we're
Yeah.
judging this year so far, this movie was really good.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that high, but
I would,
I
and I'm
probably
always right. I
go,
said Till was going to win Best Picture.
I could go top five, but
Sure, top five, fine. You want to call it top five, you can call it top five. But this is a great film, and
oh no,
everybody
wait,
should
you're
see this film.
forgetting Creed, John Wick 4. No, it's
Oh,
top.
okay, John Wick 4 is my favorite film of the year, 100%.
Yeah. I liked it probably better than Shazam.
Yes,
Probably,
100%.
I guess I do like it a little bit better than Super Mario Brothers just because it's more adult.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so that's probably
All right,
in
so it's five on the list. Top
it's five.
five.
It's five,
And
yeah.
then as we get through the year, this is going to be a top 15 film of 2023, I think. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's that good. I'm
Yeah,
not
for
going to
sure.
say it's going to be top five at the end of the year because we've got a ton of great
Yeah, there's
content coming
still
our way. But this movie's really something that you can't overlook. It's really
yeah.
good.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome.
Okay.
Um, so our next film is Peter Pan and Wendy on Disney Plus.
Yep.
And yeah, this is more based off of the original tale, so this isn't like a side deal here. I'm pulling up the information here. David Lowery is the director. So David Lowery did Pete's Dragon, which is also,
Yep.
a remake, and he had
Yep.
good reviews on that
Green.
one.
Yeah, he did The Green Knight as well, which is a very underrated,
Yeah.
um, really good film. Like
An old man dream.
this guy's got chops, and yeah.
Uh
Um,
wait, I started with Sisu, so yeah, you go first on this one.
okay, this is there are plenty of things that you can say about this movie, and you can highlight very positive things about this movie. Um, Jude Law does a really good job at Captain Hook. I thought the kid that played Peter Pan, um, Alexander Maloney,
Yeah.
um, he's fine. I thought Wendy was really good, but Wendy, you can kind of get a sense that in the future she's going to be a real player in film.
Yeah.
I feel like she's incredible. Um, I, as far as I'm concerned, and I watched this with my family and my kids, and my daughter loved this film, but she had never seen the original Peter Pan before.
Yeah.
And this is now the ninth iteration of this story that we've seen.
Yeah.
And
I think
to be
that's its biggest
honest,
problem.
I was massively underwhelmed. It was, I mean, visually it's fine.
Visually, I think
Nothing.
it's great. Visually, I
Yeah, but
think it's
it's not. There's nothing groundbreaking about it. Like if you're gonna
no, no, no.
make a story again, um, I loved. Here's what I loved about this film. I loved that they focused on Peter and Captain Hook being childhood friends
Yeah,
and the separation that happened in natural life that brought them to this moment
yeah,
in the story. Like I really loved that aspect of it. I feel like the
I agree.
ending, what they did at the ending, what Wendy did at the ending, I thought that that could have been so powerful had that really been explored throughout the movie because there really was no Peter Pan and Wendy throughout this movie. This movie was about Peter Pan and Captain Hook,
Yeah,
and James Hook, right? Like
yeah,
the movie is about these two boys who were best friends and they had a separation. It had nothing to do with Wendy. Wendy and the kids were an extra to what was actually the heart of this. So if I would have gone at the end of this movie and they would have written down Peter and Captain Hook forever, you know what I mean? Like I would have been more emotional at the end of it, but I this was another example of wasted opportunity with some really good aspects of how we're going to retell this story. I think that they had an
or you know
idea,
what they could have done, dude?
just
What
didn't.
when she was writing her name or whatever, maybe like she could have uncovered right next to it was like Peter and James forever. And so
Yeah,
you have that irony of I guess they are forever, but they're not really. But I think that would have been kind of a home run right there.
it's just the movie. The premise of it is a lie, right? Like it's
Yeah.
not about Peter Pan and Wendy. It's not.
No. It's just to
This
change the
movie's
title
not
up.
about them. This movie is at its heart. It's about Captain Hook and Peter Pan and that
Yeah.
relationship and how, even the ending, and I won't spoil it for people, but even then, Captain Hook looks at Peter Pan. He's just like, I knew you were going to come back, right? Like I knew it.
Yeah.
And that was the most powerful moment of this film was these two, despite being in a world of make believe and never growing old, and we're gonna keep repeating the same stuff over and over again throughout our life. They were both in on it 100%, and they weren't going to give up on that. They're like, okay, you're back. We'll continue this fight together, but we respect each other and we love each other. I don't know. I I think that there could have been a huge opportunity with this remake. I don't know what Disney's doing. I got to be honest with these remakes. I don't get it.
Well, that's why the guy got fired is you know, part of it is I think I do think they were more concerned on making the this PC movie versus making, like I said, a true a good story. And I think
You mentioned a backstory between Peter and Captain Hook. How did Captain Hook become Captain Hook? We've seen like iterations
yeah,
where Robin Williams is Peter Pan as an older person. We've
yeah.
seen Peter Pan as a younger version. Like
And
we've
that
seen
movie
Captain
crushed it.
Hook the same throughout history. Like,
Yeah.
what if you actually saw Captain Hook as a young boy with Peter Pan, and then what happened to separate the two? I mean, that's the story
Yeah, 100%.
of this
That
film.
sounds way more interesting than what we watched. Again, I don't think this was bad. I
No,
thought
no, it's not. It's fine. My kids loved it. They loved it.
I think the
Great.
point is this, especially like our age, this is like the 20th Peter
We've
Pan movie
seen it.
we've seen, and it's just like
Yeah.
you're saying, I did like that aspect of it, but you're right. It's like no, now like now go 100% in that direction because that's what's unique about this. That's what's going to make me want to watch. Uh,
Right.
but yeah, overall, like I, and I'm only gonna bring this up because I read it, but uh, having girls in the Lost Boys, like I was even talking with my mom on this because she saw it and she's kind of like us. It was okay. Um, again, it's kind of the same old story, but I just don't understand. Like I know obviously in the book it's called the Lost Boys, and I understand like you're updating all that stuff, but then why still call them the Lost Boys? Like
Yeah.
if you're gonna change it, then change it, but don't
The
keep the
Lost
same name.
Kids.
Yeah, the Lost Kids. I'm all for updating it.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna go that route, then change the name, but to keep them calling calling boys and girls the Lost Boys, like it makes zero sense to me.
Right.
Because why would he purposely call a bunch of girls? Because there's just as many girls as there are guys in that group, and it's like, so
And,
why would you call them the Lost Boys?
right. And then, not to bash a kid, because I wouldn't do that because, the kids are just doing what they can do at their age. Um, I felt the most unnecessary character in this entire film was the Indian girl.
Tiger Lily.
Tiger Lily, thank you. Tiger Lily contributed zero to the story, and she was such a huge part of the original story that I remember. And even, dare I say, the performance just didn't add anything to the story itself. I mean, she talks to Wendy at one point, but even then, there was nothing behind it that kind of progressed the story at all. It was just, I don't know. Even Smee didn't really do shit, right? Like this was Peter Pan and Captain Hook. I mean, they showed
Well,
it to us in this entire film, and then they didn't do anything with it.
well,
I don't know. This
I
movie,
think
the more
those
I
two
think about it,
characters
makes
though
me
are
angry.
those two characters are supposed to be minor though. That's not. I don't
No,
think.
but Tiger Lily and Peter Pan have like a real sort of relationship and rapport
Yeah,
with each other. I mean, they're very important people. We don't even know who they are. They weren't even really introduced. They just kind of show up
yeah.
in this film. If you're a new person like my kids watching this story for the first time, all of a sudden just these Indians show up on horseback and there's just no context to it at all.
I do want to know how they got there. That's interesting
There's
because
no
there's an old lady
anything.
too, right? Like there's Tiger Lily's mother, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, there's
Yeah, yeah. And
definitely
she
some
looks off
questions.
into the distance one time and then no more screen time.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's
I
move
don't
on.
know.
I think we talked
Let's
about
move on.
this. Look, it's on Disney Plus. If you have that, if you have kids, I
Kid,
did.
your kids are going to love it.
Yeah. And
That's
if you,
that's the truth. But for
uh,
older folks who know the story, that's a tough pill to swallow.
this is no hook. I'll just say that.
No,
Um,
no, Hook was original. What an original
I love
idea,
Hook.
right?
But again, I do really love the cinematography, the way the camera was moving on some of the shot. It was I really enjoyed it. How it was edited in certain scenes. There's nice montage.
Well, and the
Really,
director was an editor like
yeah,
forever in his career, and he's
yeah,
done some things since then, but he's an editor at heart. So he
yeah,
totally gets, and I agree with you. This movie looks stunning.
yeah,
Story wise, whatever. We talked about it.
yeah. All right, next, Pete, we have the "Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret," the child book by Judy Blume, which
Right.
I believe I read as a kid. But you did not see this film yet?
I did not see this film. I saw the other ones though.
Okay. So I was going in this movie. I mean, I don't really remember the book. I do remember it's pretty much about, a girl going through adolescence. Um, but I do remember liking the book for some reason. I think it was maybe just educational for me, just because I didn't know a lot of this stuff. And,
Right. Because you're
just
not
to
a
hear,
girl.
yeah, just to hear a woman's perspective, it
Right.
was unique at that time. So but I remember enjoying the book, and then so I was kind of looking forward to this, wondering just how well it was going to translate. But I was excited to see that Rachel McAdams is in this movie, and then even Kathy Bates, who looked amazing in this movie, by the way. I feel like she lost a lot
Right.
of weight. She looked
And they
fantastic.
both crush all the time. So
Yeah. And they continued that. They both really, really crushed in this movie. But it was kind of cool. There was a couple like mother daughters going to see the movie together. But I don't think this film is for everybody for obvious reasons.
mhm.
Most guys my age are probably not going to be interested in the subject matter. But I do think if
What?
you have like teenage daughters, I think parents and daughters are going to love this film. Even, I mean, yeah, I guess a son, this would be a tough sell. I can't imagine Mark and Vic going to go see this movie together. But it was fun. It was cute. I mean, again, just to kind of see how, I'm not going to call it the good boys because it's obviously not raunchy like that, but just to see girls interacting with each other and kind of what their thought process is versus males. I really like that. Again, for a guy that doesn't have kids, I found it kind of educational in that manner. But I thought it was well
Right.
done. The movie's paced really well. I noticed the music right away, and I was like, "Wow, this music's really good. Like, this is solid." I was surprised to see that Hans Zimmer actually did the score, so it makes sense. Now it
Oh, no
doesn't.
shit.
Yeah, so it's not your typical like Hans Zimmer, Gladiator type soundtrack, but it's very
Right.
similar to I think it's called The Holiday, which is kind
How'd they
of
get him to do this movie? Wow.
probably a favor for the director.
Yeah. Well
I
done. I mean,
I don't
that's
think
a
this is.
great snag.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think it absolutely takes like it carries the movie at times.
Sorry, I was only able to get Hans Zimmer for the score. Is that going to be okay? It's like,
Yeah,
yeah, that's amazing.
yeah. But yeah, it takes place in the 70s, which I kind of liked.
Right.
There's just a lot of cool aspects to this movie. So overall, I thought it was very, very solid film. Again, there's a big difference between going to watch Sisu and watching this, right? And
100%.
obviously, if I had to pick, I chose Sisu over this one. But a good date movie, I think this is solid with. Um, I think there's definitely a good market for this film. And again, luckily this is really well done. Judy Blume actually produces it as well. I don't know how old she is, goodness sakes, but it's a well crafted film. They had a good team. Acting is really good. They have some good. I think the story is very good as well. Interesting subject matter, and I thought they did a good job.
All right. Well, I'll check it out this weekend or something because yeah. I mean, I'm kind of curious. Can I show this to my daughter? She's 8, but she's got a teenage attitude. So where's the line, right? Like, is this something I can show my daughter, or is this a movie where I should wait until she's kind of a little bit older because of subject matter, etc.?
I mean, you're talking they're 12-year-old, they're 12 or 13-year-olds. So
Okay, but 8 and 12 are completely different mentalities and mindsets.
I mean, yeah, it might be a little too soon. Just
Okay.
depends. I mean,
I'll watch it.
I think I saw First Blood at 13, so
Yeah, I know, but you're a dude.
I think it just depends. Like, I mean, if she knows, like, I don't know if she's had like sex ed or at all. I mean, probably not. I guess she's 8, but
No, she's 8.
yeah. So maybe wait a couple years.
Jesus,
All right,
man.
moving on. Well, that's gonna wrap us up here, Pete, today.
All right, on that note,
Yeah, let's go ahead and just end this podcast fast. Next week, man, there's only one really big one, and it's Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
it's just one. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
nothing else.
I'm probably going to see that Thursday
Literally.
myself. So stay tuned. If you watch it soon, Pete, maybe we can get the podcast out a little earlier. But yeah,
I should see it tomorrow night.
That's going to be a big one. So stay tuned for that, guys. And with that is a cut. Thanks.